In coming days, we will see the greatest manifestations of the Savior's power that the world has ever seen. Between now and the time he returns with power and great glory,
Travis Wayne Goodsall. It's unfortunate that Mormons believe that if they don't listen to something, if they don't read something, if they don't watch something, that they can claim ignorance and thus save the church in ignorance. That video is doing better than the videos that are kind of essential to Mormons' eternal salvation. The primary one was the one I did yesterday, paying to participate in Mormonism. You can't hide from that fact, Mormons. You can't ignore that video and come to another video of mine and attack me just because you didn't watch the information in that video. But you do. The other one had some bombshell information reported by me. Nobody else is putting the pieces of the puzzle together like I am. And unfortunately, because you refuse to watch, and refuse to watch to the end of my videos, again, you think that ignorance will save you and the church. That you can then attack me when I don't talk about the subjects that you purposely skipped. Mormon Utah Bible porn ban reversed to protect the Book of Mormon. And in there is a crucial picture that just utterly destroys this church. Because I'm the one, again, me. Nobody else is doing investigative journalism on the church. The Book of Mormon warns us of a secret combination for the latter days, and words it in the Book of Mormon as if it's literal history, to give a comparison, and warns us, in the Book of Mormon, warns us not to allow this secret combination to form. I had intended to make this video. I had it all set up on notes, even while I was sleeping, had some extra notes to add. It would take me hours to make the video, and it may only be 30 minutes. That the paying to participate in Mormonism video, as much as I had an awesome time with fun time making that video, because it was with women, it took a long time. Those kinds of videos take time. Whereas just talking to you, it's quick, it's simple, it's over with. 3 hours later. But a 3-hour video like the paying to participate in Mormonism, yeah, that would be days to make that level of video. And so the news had leaked, or obtained the leak, of the Secret Combination of America, their membership directory from 2014. And this was when YouTube was ordered by the church to silence my channels. They had falsely accused me in order to prevent me from uploading videos. And I knew that before conference, if I were to attempt to do videos, there was the risk that the Mormon employee for YouTube would attack and permanently shut down my channel. Because they don't give you any lenience on YouTube. If you get accused of something, you're punished immediately. They don't give you an opportunity to defend yourself. They are in control. And if they target you for hate, there's nothing you can do about it. What are you going to do? Sue them? YouTube is aiding and abetting the enemy and the church. But I had found out about this membership directory. And I knew from the news, Book of Mormon is true. Here's a secret group that are conspiring to overthrow the United States of America. And they mentioned Steve Bannon was a part of it. I had already known about Steve Bannon, that he was responsible for the rigging of our 2016 election. And then after that, he went to Europe, a European tour to promote fascism throughout Europe. And that big old scandal. If any of you even remember the news from back then? Yeah, that was all Steve Bannon and his Cambridge Analytica. He had to distance himself from Cambridge Analytica after the scandal emerged. And it has to do with analytics. You know, what YouTube uses. What destroyed Blockbuster Video. Yeah, there's lots of people who think they know how Blockbuster collapsed and why. No, I had insider information back in those days. I knew exactly why. It was analytics. I mean, if you rented from Blockbuster Video, what was your number one concern about renting at Blockbuster Video? They never had enough videos of the new releases. That was due to the analytical program. It was screwing things up. And so this council, not counselor, councilman, council for national policy. You immediately think, oh, it's a government agency. Nope. It's the secret combination seeking to overthrow the government and restore a monarchy to America. It was founded in 1981. And I'm just repeating the information that I exposed that right before that conference in 2021. Because I would go on to find the church's connection. And I've shown it to you multiple times. But Mormons think that if they don't watch, they can be saved and save the church in ignorance. And so they have a threefold mission. Economic freedom. Capitalism isn't good enough for them? They're talking about slavery. That's what they're talking about by economic freedom. America already has economic freedom. What's wrong with what they got? They're profiting off of it. They're talking about slavery. Judeo-Christian values. There's no such thing. The Jews didn't unite with Christians for Jesus as the Christ. This is a white supremacist Christian nationalist term. Christians replaced the Jews. And this is abominable to claim that Judeo-Christian values are one and the same. They're not. When you change the interpretation of Scripture, you change the theology. And when you change the theology, you change the standards and values. For Strength of the Youth pamphlet? Yeah. Imagine if it were in the learning of the Jews, how different it would be. You probably have no clue because you're not watching my videos, so that you can be saved and save the church in ignorance. But I just refer you to Joseph Smith's first vision, verse 19. I'll give you a hint, you can't find Jesus in there. But guess where Jesus is referred to? Verse 19. And I'll give you a hint, all their creeds. And then a strong national defense. Yeah, America already is the strongest national defense in the world. What are they talking about? Oh, right. Fascism. Nazism. That's what they're talking about. And so, I'm also the one who searched it, didn't just trust them. I actually read over the names. And guess who I found along with Steve Bannon, as they reported? There's also one of the guys who was Trump's lawyer with his impeachment hearing. I can't remember his name offhand. And Sekulow. Yeah, J.A. Sekulow. He was the lawyer helping Trump in that impeachment proceeding. So yes, there's some popular people in here who are part of this secret conspiracy to overthrow our government, destroy our Constitution. And in fact, this is what they plan to do it, is to destroy the Constitution, the First Amendment, for example. And so you have evangelicals on this board wanting religious freedom, and they're a part of the religious freedom movement. And you're going, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints is a part of the religious freedom movement. Yeah, no duh. I've been telling you this in videos for years, that this whole religious freedom front is a front for their criminal operations to overthrow the government. There are lawyers, judges, There are medical doctors. There are psychologists. I've been warning you about psychologists and the danger they caused, and even did another one recently, several recently, bringing them up. And so this council is literally evil. And so as I could go over, they helped rig the 2016 election. Many of the policies that Trump did, they put him in so that he would do that. And they purposely made him lose in 2020. They did. I did the reporting on it. We all know he lost. But they made him lose so that they could cause January 6th. But there's something else that the news is not reporting or putting the pieces of the puzzle together. It was something that I thought was weird. Every presidential election, there's the October surprise, as it's called, where both parties bring out their biggest hit against the other party to try to rig the election in their favor. For 2016, it was Hillary's emails. For Trump, it was the Access Hollywood tape. Well, Pet Shop Boys has a song where they bring that up. Let's give stupidity a chance. But, yeah, everything that's been going on since Nelson announced again in 2022. He did it in 2018. He did it again in 2022. A whole list of things that happened in the coming days. And so, yes, this group, not just through the Heritage Foundation, not just through the religious freedom movement, connect to the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints indirectly, but the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints has a representation in the membership. In 1981, apparently, Dr. W. Cleon Skousen, need to go to the second page. Yeah, W. Cleon Skousen, doctor. Anybody recognize that name? Give you a hint. Naked communism. First 2,000 years, the third 1,000 years, the fourth 1,000 years, the 5,000 years, the 6,000 years, the 7,000 years. Mormon. Cleon Skousen is Mormon. He's the representative in this secret combination group. And he's in memoriam, which means this membership group was prior to this 2014. It was part of the original 1981 group. And so who replaced him? Who's the representative for the church now? Well, the Birthright Blessing's son, Dr. Mark Skousen. Mars. Consecrated to Mars. There was a person who commented that I saw this morning. who brought up Mark. And so I commented back about Mark. Well, Russell Marion, the Red Star of Mars. Well, he works as an editor-in-chief for Forecasts and Strategies. And the address of the work is P.O. Box 229, Irvington on Hudson, New York, 10533. His work phone is blacked out. Apparently his email's still here as an editor, his work editor, or his work email. And then he's got 3 web pages. So yeah, this is how the church is directly involved. You'll notice if you've paid attention to the church's news that Oakes was rewarded by the Heritage Foundation, given an award. So yeah, they're directly tied to all this. And so in the coming days, where was Jesus? Nelson said Jesus was going to perform his mightiest miracles. So where is he? Is it all in secret? Really? Jesus works in secret. To do what? What is he doing? Well, he's preparing for the kingdom, right? But wait a minute. We're in the United States of America with a constitution. What do you mean Jesus is working on making his kingdom? Is Jesus the secret combination seeking to overthrow the government of the United States of America and restore his kingdom? Really? Yes. That's exactly what the church means. What Nelson means. We have exclusive Mormon doctrine and theology on the evil of Lucifer beyond Christianity. Here was the death threat. After doing this video and being safe to proceed to do videos for conference weekend, they then sent me this because I had found this. And then I ended up tortured by my landlord under the orders of the church because of a lawsuit that I had filed in 2000. It was the second one. And yes, I am responsible for the seditious conspiracy charges against January 6 conspirators. Me. I can tie it physically, documents, to me being the cause. And yet if Mormons refuse to watch, they think that they can be saved in ignorance, and then come out on this video and say, no, you're not. You're not as big and important as you think you are. It's just amazing how evil Mormons are by refusing to do their research. They think that ignorance vindicates them from accountability. In this book by Joseph Fielding Smith Sr., he talks about by the voice of the priesthood. He says that the council, same spelling, in the valley of Adam-on-Diamond is to be of the greatest importance to this world. At that time, there will be a transfer of authority from the usurper and impostor Lucifer to the rightful king, Jesus Christ. So Lucifer and Jesus are both going to be in Adam-on-Diamond, and Lucifer is going to have to hand over the keys of government. Because it says, after this transfer, our Lord will then assume the reins of government. The Council for National Policy. They've assumed the reins of government. This Grand Council of Priesthood will be composed not only of those who are faithful who now dwell on the earth, but also all of the prophets and apostles of old, directing their authority. Sure. And he whose right it is to rule will be installed officially by the voice of the priesthood there assembled. Others may also be there, but if so, they will be there by appointment, because they're a member. For this is to be an official council called to attend to the most momentous matters concerning the destiny of this earth. When this gathering is held, the world will not know of it. The members of the church at large will not know of it. Yet it shall be preparatory to the coming in the clouds of glory of our Savior, Jesus Christ. And then they blame Joseph. It's not what Joseph said. It's been a while since I've opened it. Didn't open right away. Obviously, Lucifer is not real. Jesus, therefore, is not real. Because you're not going to have Lucifer in the presence of Jesus. They're talking about a council seeking to overthrow the government. That's what he's talking about here. There is no way Jesus is going to peacefully ask for the government and the government will just give it to him. And so if they refuse, he's going to go to war? Are you kidding me? Make an awesome movie, definitely. But it's not real. They're talking about individuals representing Lucifer and Jesus. And Jesus is the one who's the head of this church, the Church of Jesus Christ. When Nelson took over, he enforced the name. And right before this April conference, I did a whole series of videos on the name, as well as the national divorce. That was part of their strategy in this council, to get Americans to start thinking about separating into tribal states to secede from the nation. And the thing I've been telling you this whole time is that their whole plot is in the Book of Mormon. And Mormons don't want to listen, do they? They think that ignorance will save them and the church from accountability, when the church is factually the great and abominable church described by the Book of Mormon. I have connected the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints with this Council for National Policy to the secret combination and the great and abominable church in the Book of Mormon. And they are doing exactly as the Book of Mormon says they would do. And so when I go over the real church history for you, which again, Mormons don't want to listen because they want to be saved and save the church in ignorance. Seeing a pattern here? I'll just keep repeating it until you catch on. This is the church's plot, and it's been so for 200 years. 9/11, 1826. William Morgan found out about the plot, and he wanted to write a book about it. And he couldn't just come out and name names, because people were trying to murder him. And so he was at a lodge in Canandaigua, New York, working on the book for some years. Had been paid by the Batavian Press to work on it, and yet he was arrested for not paying his bar tab and for other minor offenses, which in those days, if you couldn't pay, you go to debtor's prison. And yet he was paid in advance, and yet he's accused of having debts owed. The Batavian Press went and paid his debts anyway. But it was clear the enemy had found out, and his life was now in jeopardy. So the master mason of that lodge in Canandaigua, New York, on 9/11, 1826, was now activated. It was his duty to protect his fellow brother in Freemasonry, and helped him flee the country and take on the responsibility of finishing the publication of that book. And it became known as the Book of Mormon. And who is this national hero that nobody knows about? Except Heber C. Kimball knew about it under Masonry in his Wikipedia page. He reveals he knows exactly who it was, and thus reveals that Heber C. Kimball was the enemy. Joseph Smith Sr., the unknown American hero. We owe him for the Book of Mormon. He was Yorkrites Freemasonry, which has as the highest degree the Knights Templar, the highest rank technically. Scottish Rites are the 33-degree Masons. There is a difference, despite ignorant people wanting to lump them all together as one. Because if the Scottish Rites is going to be exposed and destroyed, so too must the York Rites with the Knights Templar, the Holy Grail, the bloodline of the Christ of David, King Jerusalem. I've gone over that with you as well. David Moses the Fourth and Armageddon. Well, that's where he had his little vacation stay on the village of, or hamlet of Salem at the time. And thus came the tale that we have recorded in our Bible. And John used it as revelation for the latter days, for the coming of Solomon, the son of David, the Prince of Peace, who is to become the King of Peace. The man like Moses, which is the learning of the Jews. So yeah, if you were to actually study your scriptures, Joseph Smith History, verse 40, follow it. You can even just stop at Acts. There's the man like Moses. That's the learning of the Jews, Christ. And Joseph Smith warns Mormons that Mormons in the latter days, as his links, are supposed to help you with when the start of the latter days is. 23rd September 2017. That's the first year of the reign of King Zedekiah. In code. You're supposed to hearken to him, Mormons. Yet you're looking for Jesus of the great and abominable church. Your Christ has been here. He has publicly made himself known. He is not hiding in secret councils, plotting to overthrow the government and the Constitution, which Joseph Smith says was inspired by Jesus. Wait a minute, if it was inspired by Jesus, why is Jesus seeking to overthrow it? That's confusing. Joseph Smith says Mormons are supposed to save the Constitution in the latter days. And yet Mormons are seeking to overthrow the Constitution in the latter days. To overthrow the government. See this book banning? Yeah, it's a violation of the First Amendment. It's blatantly obvious it's a violation of the First Amendment. And yet, so, yeah, even though this is longer because I'm speaking, I am able to get the information out. And unfortunately, the majority of you, to save yourself and the church in ignorance, are no longer watching. But it's blatantly obvious that this church is evil. All that they've caused in the coming days. So just since that October conference 2022 last year, we had the election. It was intended for a MAGA sweep. Oops. But, yeah, there was some betrayals in the Senate. And then you have the church giving back the water that they stole from the Great Salt Lake, which then produced record snowfall, which then produced flooding. They did it all for the second coming, guys, as they understand it, or want you to understand it. Then the Respect for Marriage Act was passed because of the church, because of their exemption clause. This was what they told the council. And so Mitt Romney was activated to convince GOP senators to vote for the bill with the exemption clause, to disrespect marriage. And then states began banning abortion pills. Utah banned abortion clinics. After Roe v. Wade got overturned, in the coming days after Nelson said it in 2018, his April solemn assembly, they purposely put in those judges to overthrow Roe v. Wade. And now I'm seeing in the news, after 1 year, that Democrats are being motivated to fight to get women's rights back. Too late, guys. You allowed the foothold. And yet they want to claim that they're innocent of participating in the overthrow of Roe v. Wade. Democrats helped overthrow Roe v. Wade. They deceived you. They were really concerned with it, as they claim they are with their lips. They would have fought harder to prevent it. They would have made sure that the judicial system was fixed. They knew what they had to do after the 2020 election. Once they took office, January 3rd, they knew what they needed to have done, and they failed to do it. They hesitated. They betrayed you. And then we had the debt default. Wasn't that great? America held hostage by MAGA, who were supposed to be removed from office for their participation in January 6th. You know, that whole Constitution thing again. The 14th Amendment. Senator Mike Lee, not allowed, and yet he ran for 2020. He even rigged his own election to make sure he won. And McMullen didn't even put up a fight to say, hey, no, you can't do that, you're not allowed. He just conceded. He allowed the enemy, who's a descendant of an enemy, good old John D. Lee, mother and baby murderer, who also was a part of framing Joseph Smith in 1838, with an election fraud nonetheless. You know, and so Senator Lee also, because of the church, tried to introduce a national ban on pornography. Utah passed it. Yeah, thy will be done, O Lord. And then you know the fallout from that. There have been a few of you who have watched those videos of mine, as I flooded my feed with them. So yeah, that now has backfired. But again, after it became law, and after the scandal of the Bible, now you've got people wanting to hold discussions about banning the ban on the Bible, or on books. Too late. They got a foothold. Do you know how hard it was to get rid of the Zion Curtain? Do you know how hard it was to stop conversion therapy? Do you know how hard it was to ban slavery in Utah? See, the federal government already had laws protecting against these laws in Utah. The state of Utah wants nothing to do with the government. They want to be independent. They want to secede from the nation and hand over the keys of government and authority to Nelson as the president of the church. And this may be what it'll end up being. That Lucifer is Governor Cox. And he will hand over the keys of authority of government to President Russell M. Nelson. Jesus. Even though Mars, being the bridegroom of Venus, who's the inverted pentagram of Lucifer, therefore Mars is Lucifer. Seems kind of strange. He's got it twisted around. Jesus gives a government authority to Lucifer. Because they're definitely not talking about the Mormon. Oh, you didn't watch any of my videos so that you can save yourself and the church in ignorance. Section 103, verse 16. Yeah, that Jewish Christ who will be a Mormon. The bloodline of Joseph Smith Sr., the Knights Templar. And so Nelson comes out in April conference, fulfilling the Micah prophecy. Peace! And then we can't forget the SEC fine. All of this are in the coming days, Jesus' mighty miracles, before he comes on 8 April 2024. The SEC fined the church for their financial corruptions. They've been financing all of this council's operations. All of them. The war in Ukraine, that was the church. So then Oaks comes out, tells the young girls at 16 years of age, start having babies. You're graduating from high school. It's legal in Utah to be married at 16. You just have to have parent consent. And why would a parent disobey the living prophet of Jesus? Got to start having babies, girls. And you refuse to watch my videos. You refuse to believe my videos. You deny that such a thing is the case. And yet I can go into very specific detail on all of this, even though this is almost 50 minutes now. This is just an abridgment.